Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you to each and every one of you for being online this afternoon and taking time out of your day to participate in the CAMS and STAMS webinar. We do appreciate it very much. My name is Justin Voigt and I'm the Events Manager for Hawker Brownlow Education. Please feel free to go ahead and join the conversation through Twitter or on Facebook, and please do go ahead and follow us on there as well, or like us on Facebook too. Without any further ado, I'd like to welcome our presenter today, Karen Hoffman. Karen has been with Hawker Brownlow for 13 years as a sales and training consultant and is helping schools around Australia implement CARS and STARS, CAMS and STAMS Plus programs into schools to ensure they get the best results for their students' reading and comprehension skills, plus assist with their NAPLAN results. After this webinar, Karen will give you an ongoing support with your journey. So with that, I'm going to hand over the webinar to Karen now. Thanks, Karen.
Hello and welcome, and thank you for joining me for this CAMS and STAMS webinar. CAMS and STAMS Solve is a powerful integrated program that focuses on specifically fundamental math skills for students must master. It works to ensure that your students gain a solid understanding of mathematical concepts, ultimately helping them to succeed on tests and become independent problem solvers. Today, the agenda, I'm going to talk about the program, what it looks like, how it relates to the Australian curriculum, how to use the level placement, step 1, go through the CAMS Plus student book and the CAMS Plus teacher book, the STAMS Plus student book and the STAMS Plus teacher book, and talk about Solve, which is extra practice, and the reporting tool that we have to support you with this program. This is an 8-level program, starting from level A, going to level H. So starting at year 1, going to year 9, that allows you to identify and teach 16 fundamental maths concepts in each level. There's a student book and a teacher guide for every level. This program was actually developed in North America years ago through Curriculum Associates, but we have version to Australian standards and includes problems relevant to Australian schools. Here is a list of all the different levels, starting from levels A, which is year 1 to 2, levels B 2 to 3, etc., going to level H, years 8 and 9, with the 16 different concepts for each level. How the program is structured is assessment plus instruction plus practice is definitely success. CAMS Plus stands for Comprehension, Assessment of Mathematics Strategies. This is your diagnostic part of the program, the assessment. STAMS is Strategies to Achieve Mathematical Success, and this is your explicit instruction, targeting the visual instruction on essential math skills. Solve is for extra practice to embed the concepts that you've taught in the STAMS. What it looks like. The level placement, to level your students, determine where to group them or the class and to know what to order. The assessment with your CAMS, the instruction with your STAMS, practice with the Solve, online reporting where you put the data in from the pre-bench and post, and interactive whiteboard lessons to support you while you're instructing with the STAMS from level C. The benefits of this program is to diagnose the students' understandings of the concepts, to introduce the level of their ability, instruct to their level of their ability, monitor their progress with the benchmarks, and assess mastery. It provides differentiating, it creates structure and continuity, but the concepts are exactly the same from 1 to 16, and simplifying your record keeping with the online management. On page 24 and 25 of the STAMS teacher book on every level, it shows you here the relevant lessons attached to the Australian curriculum. This slide shows you years 1 and 2, which is level A. So it has the explanation and the relevant lessons there. Also, after that, on the next 3 pages, we have scope and sequence charts, which will assist you with your instruction as well in the STAMS. Step 1 is the level placement booklet, which is choosing the right level for your students. It's based on their maths students' ability, not your year level. How you're going to use this level placement, you can go to our main website and click on CAMS and STAMS and click on About, and it will have all this instruction how you can download the level placement booklet or actually do the level placing online for free. Note, if you're going to do it online for free, the answers aren't saved, so you need to print or save it as a PDF. The actual level placement book itself has got so much information from where you start to where you finish. The placing here on the first page of the level placement booklet, out of 16 concepts, is between 8 and 13 correct, is the right level. But with CAMS and STAMS, you must start from level A and work up. You wouldn't start from a year 4 and test them on a level C, because there may be a concept right down on level A that the students don't understand. So start from A and work your way up. Once you've determined this, then you know what level to group them, group your classes, and to purchase what resources you require. In the level placement booklet itself, as I said to you, in the first 4 or 5 pages, it has instruction for the teacher about CAMS and STAMS. What is in the standard student book? What is in the teacher book? What's the difference between the pre-bench and post? How do I use the CAMS Plus with the STAMS Plus? Where do students record their answers? What is the correction procedure? What should I do if students are having difficulty understanding a certain concept? So in this level placement booklet, there's a wealth of information to support you doing this program. So once you've done the leveling, you're now going to start the program with your students. So step 2 is CAMS Plus. In the CAMS Plus student book are your pre-test, your benchmarks, and your post-test. So you move from both books, from CAMS once you've done the pre-test, and from that data, then you go starting teaching the STAMS. The benchmarks are to be administered while you're actually teaching the STAMS to monitor their progress to see if they have understood what you've taught so far. Once you've completed all the STAMS, then you go back to the CAMS and do the post-test. That's your final data to see how they've mastered the skill. In the student book is a student progress chart, which I'll show you in a minute, the pre-test, the benchmarks, the post-test, answer sheets for them to fill out, and 3 assessments for them to do after they've completed the pre-test, the bench, and the posts. The pre-test, there are 80 little maths problems to do. There's 5 of these math problems to a page, so 16 pages. So allow 30 to 45 minutes to complete the first 4 pages. So that'll be lessons 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the booklet. However, that's your first main lesson to do the pre-tests. And then you'll continue to do 5, 6, 7, 8 for the next 11, etc., till you've done to the 16. The students record the results in their progress charts, but I will show you how that's done. The benchmarks are there, as I said, to monitor their progress, to see how they've understood what you've taught so far. And in the post-test is to complete the post-test when you've finished all the STAMS. So you'll ask the students to do the 1, 2, 3, 4 lessons here, fill out the answer sheets, shade in the bubble. You can correct it orally, or some schools leave it right till the end till you've done lesson 16. But I think it's best to do it 1, 2, 3, 4, complete the lesson, correct it orally. Then in the front of their student book, there's a progress chart here. So the 6 fundamental skills are down below, but the pre-test, the first one, is up the top. So you ask them to shade in, you correct it orally, they shade it in and only shade in the ones that they got correct. And there they will see where their strengths and weaknesses are on the 16 concepts. And then when you start to instruct with the STAMS, when you start using the benchmarks, then those boxes will be filled in. But if someone hasn't got the benchmarks, then it's up to you to use something in the school for intervention. We do have Focus, which is a product that is in this family as well. You may want to look at that later on. And once you've finished the post-test, all those little squares should be filled in, because you should have assisted them once they've done a benchmark. If they haven't got it, then you need to use something outside this lesson for intervention to assist them on their way to understand that concept. So after they have completed all the self-assessments, the pre-test, then they have to do a self-assessment. They do one after each of the pre, bench and post. So self-assessment after the pre-test, it is one topic I understood, can explain it. So this is a self-reflection for them to tell you how they felt doing the pre-test. And the same with the benchmarks, the same with the post. So on the back of the CAMS Plus student book is the answer sheet and the self-assessment, and they're perforated for them to tear those pages out for you to hand to you, so you can collate the answers to put together your class results to plan to go to the STAMS. In the CAMS teacher book, what's in there is a program overview, the relation to the Australian curriculum, the pacing chart, student record sheets, individual graphs, class record sheets, class records for pre, post and benchmark, and the answer keys which you need. So first of all, on every CAMS teacher book, there's a pacing chart on how you're actually going to use the CAMS and STAMS program. So note here, they say days 1 to 5, you would have completed all the pre-test. However, you may not have enough time to do that all in 1 week. So this is about planning your lessons. Each lesson, each 4 of those lessons should take you 30 to 45 minutes. So this may take you 2 weeks to get through it instead of what they're suggesting here. So all I suggest is make sure you complete your pre-test as quickly as you possible, so that you get that data, so that you can then work on the STAMS, start using the STAMS and doing your explicit teaching. Note number 26, on day 26, they've recommended that you do a benchmark. Let's just check in and see how they've done with the 4 concepts that you've taught so far in the STAMS. Then later down, there's another, you have those 4 benchmarks to add whilst you're teaching the STAMS. And then note down the bottom, that's when you do the post-test. So that doing level A should take you 94 days. So once again, if you're going to introduce this as a whole school program, that's how long it's going to take you to complete all that. You may choose to use this program just as an intervention program and take out students that are struggling in their normal maths lesson. This is used beautifully for intervention for students that are struggling. In the teacher CAMS book, you have many different records. This individual record sheet is fabulous. So here you will list all your students and their results for the pre-test. Yes, if they need instruction, if they got less than 80%, no, they don't need instruction. So this is a fabulous sheet to use to analyse the data from their pre-test before you go to the STAMS. You may have found that they're all good at the first concept, so you won't have to teach that. So this comes back about more fine-tuning your students with this program. You have an individual performance graph if you have the time to shade it out for each student. However, if you're a learning support teacher and you only have a small group of students and only a group of 5, you may want to do this graph and use all these assessments. They're available to you if you choose. Here is the class record sheet where once you've collated all the answer sheets from your class, you would list all your students and where they are with these 16 different concepts. And this will assist with your planning to go to the STAMS as well. Another class record sheet for the benchmarks, and another one, there was one for your post-test. If you don't want to do the paper trail of that class report, you have a choice here to buy this product. It's an online reporting tool, which is $20 per class, or more than 10 classes, $200 for the year. So you would enter the results of their pre-mention post, and it prints reports. This is great for parent-teacher interviews or passing on to the student's next teacher. So that's available if you choose. And there is a 30-day free trial. If after this webinar, if you want to sign up for that, you can advise and let me know. So you've now done all the pre-test and you're ready to go to the STAMS Step 3 and do the explicit teaching of the 16 maths concepts. Each lesson, each concept is divided into 5 lessons. Lesson 1 is modelled instruction. Lesson 2 is guided instruction. Lesson 3 is model practice. Lesson 4 is guided practice. Lesson 5 is independent practice, slow release. In the teacher book, step-by-step instruction for you in the STAMS teacher book. From level C upwards, we have interactive whiteboard lessons that support you as you're teaching. If you don't have interactive whiteboard lessons, you can download the Active Inspire software, which is available for free online, and that will download onto your desktop or the laptop. In the STAMS teacher guide, you have all this amazing support. The suggested pacing chart, step-by-step instruction, additional activities for the 15 minutes, activities for at the end of each lesson, school-home connections, where you can send a letter home to the parents, additional lessons in some books, and the answers for the students. So note down here, the 16 lessons, one for each topic, is broken into 5 parts or 5 lessons. This is John Fleming, who is the explicit teaching guru that travels around Australia with his explicit teaching programs. He recommends our STARS because of this format: the modelled instruction, the guided, the model practice, guided practice, independent practice. That's how the 5 lessons are broke down. In the student book, it says, learn about the strategy, learn more about the strategy, choose the right answer, write the best answer, prepare for a test. In the beginning of the STAMS teacher book, they give you a week at a glance. And remember, this is completing all the lessons in 5 days, which most schools can't. But try and do at least 2 to 3 lessons a week. If you just do one, you're not going to get through the whole lessons if you really break it down and work it out. But this is a really good planner for you to actually have a look at. Monday with your modelled and guided instruction, part 1, to introduce the new skill to students. That should take 20 minutes. If you're going to use the interactive whiteboard lessons to support you as well, practice new skill will take 10 minutes. Doing the assessment, check your turn answer. And if you want to do extra hands-on activities, that will be an extra 15 minutes. So it's just at a glance for 1 week. The features of a STAMS lesson in the STAMS teacher book is number 1 is lesson objectives. Number 2 is the related Australian curriculum content. Number 3 is the prerequisite. Number 4, if you want to look at a related lesson to a concept on a book lower, it tells you that, to go down a level, whatever page that is. Number 5 is vocabulary. List keys maths terms from the lesson with definitions. And number 6 is the maths background for that actual concept, and that one's equal past. It breaks down so you're actually familiar with that concept before you even start teaching. So now you're going to start your instruction for lesson 1. Number 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5 is what the student is looking at in their student book. Number 1 sets a purpose for learning. Number 2, explore, think, and connect. Provide students with a proven routine to apply all maths problems. Number 3, let's talk. Develop students' ability to communicate. Number 4, think it through. Number 5, your turn. Now the answers are actually up there in the students section there, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We had no answer sheet in the back because there's so many concepts. Let's look at number 6, 7, 8, 9. So at a glance, sums up what student to do in each part. Number 7, STEP provides an explicit walkthrough. You have ESL support there, explaining targets of point of contact language, which may be affecting English language learners' ability to understand the maths. Number 9 is tips on the spot information to help you. Number 10 is error alert. You will get this with every part of the instruction. As you see there, number 10 says, children who chose number A may not realise that halves mean 2 parts of equal sizes. So beside that slide, part 2 is your guided instruction. So it has identical formats and features. So lesson 3 is your model practice here. 1, 2, and 3 is what the students look at. Number 1 is solve, presents a typical multiple choice problem related to the concept. Number 2 is check, explains the correct answer and analyses the incorrect one. Number 3 is your turn. And number 4 is the calculator man, offers students help tips to avoid making common mistakes. Now down below is your instruction, step by step. Tell children this page models finding the correct answer to a multiple choice problem. Number 5 is reference a specific activity described to deal at the end of each lesson plan that supports instruction. Number 6, the answers with the black dot are the correct answers. However, if they chose other answers, they tell you why they chose the wrong answer. So it's all laid out there for you. And lesson 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 shows models a response to an extended response problem. Number 2 explains it. It models an explanation, etc. All that information. The teacher guide, number 6, is tips. Remind the students that rectangles are the same size. You have that there in front of you. And number 7, again, the answer analysis. See the simple answer. Provides a sample response to the extended response problem and guidance about evaluating their responses. So that's part 4. And lesson 5 is independent practice, slow release. In the student book is the calculator man. Number 2 is the test practice for them to build familiarity with the 3 types of problems commonly found in test. Now, number 3 has the answer explanations for you once again. Gives a brief description of the correct answer. Number 4 here provides a brief assessment of students' progress. Number 5 shows you remediation. If the error is children may to remediate for you to do and help them there. So that's your 5 lessons, your 5 parts. After that, we have the 15 additional activities. These are really, really great activities for you to use. The hands-on teaching. As you know, some students learn better with hands-on activities. They're more with materials, etc. Number 2 is a reteaching activity. Number 3 is a vocabulary activity. Number 4 is real-world connection. Number 5 is school-home connection. And number 6 is an activity if a student is smarter and you want to fill in the time, or you may have an enrichment group and you want them to just use that on their own. The school-home connection, which starts in the back of the STAMS teacher book from page 159, this you can photocopy and send home to the family. Most families now struggle with how to support their children when children bring their maths home. But this is engaging the family with what you're actually teaching in the classroom. They feel so happy about you doing this that you can involve them and how they can help. The solve is just for extra practice. There's 2 extra lessons in the solve, so you may use this for homework, or you could use it after you have taught a STAMS concept just to embed that concept a little bit more. So it's up to you as a school if you choose to involve Solve in this program as well, but it's there to support you as well. So here is a pacing chart for level G, which actually has in a page 10 in the Solve teacher book. So you've got days 1 to 5 is your pretest, 6 to 10 days you're teaching those 4 concepts. You're going to use Solve as a review to recap, or not if you choose not to, but then you're going to do a benchmark to monitor the progress to see how they went with those concepts. So option 1 is use it as a practice, remediate, etc. Assign Solve as homework, extra practice during SAM instruction, etc. Okay, the interactive whiteboard lessons, it doesn't cover all the STAMS lessons, but it does cover instruction in part 1, the model instruction, and part 2 in the guided instruction for each lesson. Really great for recapping and review previous lessons as well. In the front of the STAMS teacher book on page 10, you have a code where you can actually do your download. So that's where that is found. Now, with differentiating with CAMS and STAMS, the program, there's different ways how you can use this program. So for ESL, for any students who struggle with the language, throughout the instruction, refer to the ESL support tips that alert you for any obstacles. Use the vocabulary activities to assess them, to help them to understand that concept a little bit more. For your struggling students, use the hands-on activity and the reteaching activities, the real-world connection to give students other ways to access the skill, and to review with the interactive whiteboard lessons. And for your confident students, the challenge activities. For implementation, there's a few different ways you can do this. For using it across the school, whole school, it's easier to ability-based groups, year levels will be easier to work with. So basically, if once you do the level placing, you may work out that you may want to just work on 1 level per class. So, or alternate maths block to allow for multiple groups within a single class, or a single level per class, place all the students on the same level and instruct and remediate maybe with a lower STAMS Plus instruction, or use solely for struggling students, place them with the levelling, use the pretest, and then create an instructional plan based on their results and then go to the STAMS lesson. As I said before, this program is great for students that you need to pull out from the normal maths classroom for intervention. Using STAMS to remediate, option 1 is to review with the same level, levels B books, level A to H, and use part 1 and part 2 in the related lessons in the same book. Option 2 is to review at a lower level, go down a level, B to H, and review part 1 of the skills of the lower books. Getting started, so just to recap how you're going to implement this program, download the level placement booklet. You will have all this information that I've taken you through on how to use this great program. Order your CAMS, STAMS Plus, and if you're going to use the Solve as at appropriate levels. And remember, each student needs a CAMS Plus and a STAMS Plus, and you need a teacher guide for the instruction and the answers. Complete all the 16 pre-tests to determine your baseline, and then go to the STAMS to begin your instruction. After every STAMS lesson, you then use a benchmark to monitor the progress. If you wish to use Solve to embed it a little bit more, once you've finished all the STAMS, the instruction, then you go back and do the 16 post-test, and that is your data from where they've travelled from their pre to their post. That is the conclusion of the CAMS and STAMS webinar. We have the associated product, which is in the family of CAMS and STAMS, is the literacy, which is cars and stars, And it is run exactly the same way with your leveling, your pre, your bench, your post, and the instruction and focus and extension for support. So I'll hand back now to Justin for any question and answers. And thank you for attending.
Thank you, Karen. So there's Karen's details. Feel free to get in contact with Karen if you do have any questions, or if you're currently using this product. If you need any support, please feel free to contact Karen. Her email address is on the screen with her mobile number. So we will leave it there for this webinar today. Thank you to everyone for your attendance. We certainly do appreciate it. We do hope you have a great evening ahead. And thank you to Karen as well for taking you through the CAMS and STAMS. So thanks again, everybody, and we'll be in touch shortly.